how very English. Red phone box, beautiful stream. What a beautiful, beautiful thing. Here's something which isn't quite so beautiful, but it's still very, very mean. This is the Kawasaki Z-H2. Now, massive thanks to Wheels Motorcycles, links below, for lending me this for a week. This is their demo bike, so if you want to book a test ride on this, give them a ring. But for today, I'm going to take this out. I've done a first ride review on this bike already, link above, but today we're just going to go through and talk to you about this machine, see how I found it riding it for the last week. Okay, roll the intro, Tropsy, let's get into it. Oh dear, so as I say, I've been riding this round for the last week or so. I've actually got the Super Duke at home at the same time I've had this, so I've been riding both this and the Super Duke. Now I will do a separate comparison video between this and the Super Duke at some point, so you will see that shortly. But this is a bike which is very, very different to the Super Duke. If I scratch the tank there, what's going on here? What scratches? You want me, governor, honestly. Oh, beautiful day, beautiful bike. Well, sorry, this bike, let's get it out, let's get the big thing out the way first. Let's get the big thing out the way first. This bike splits opinion with its looks. When I first saw the pictures of this, I was pleased, I was happy. I've got a H2 and I was worried that I might want to upgrade it and buy one of these instead. A bit more comfortable version of the sports bike, I thought. But when I saw the photos, I was quite pleased that I wouldn't have to worry about having to sell my bike and getting one of these, because, you know, let's be honest here, this isn't the most beautiful of bikes. I mean, the looks are subjective with any bike. This is not, I wouldn't say, one of the best looking machines. When I put some pictures up on Instagram, people have said, you know, the whole styling team should be taken outside and shot along with their family and their children. So this type of thing can't be passed on to future generations. Now I think that could be a little bit harsh, but it does divide opinion. But when you see it in the flesh, it's like a lot of these bikes, when you actually see one in the flesh, it actually looks a lot better than it does in pictures. And I think this black, this matte, it does look much better, but I agree it's not the best looking naked that's out there at the moment. But looks aside, what's it like as a motorcycle? This is a heavy bike. This is a 235 kilo motorcycle. That's wet, that's not dry, thankfully, that's wet. This has got the H2 engine in it. The H2 itself, it's not a particularly light motorcycle. It's a heavy sports bike. And this bike's got a supercharger on it. It's got all the gears and everything, all of the chains to drive the supercharger. It's got an uprated gearbox to cope with all that power. It's got an aluminium plenum. There's no sort of airbox. It's an aluminium plenum, obviously for all that hot charge to be contained within. So that the very nature of having a supercharged bike is obviously going to add some weight to the overall design. So it's not a featherweight, it's 235 kilos, but what that supercharger does bring to the party is lots and lots of power. This bike is running a conservative 200 horsepower. This bike could make a lot more power. Kawasaki actually have when you're at 10,000 revs on this thing, the throttle bodies are closing. You know, this thing could make 250 horsepower quite easily, but Kawasaki cannot release a 250 horsepower motorcycle onto the public roads. They're not that irresponsible. So they have muted this, they've neutered it. They've tamed that power down to a very respectable 200 horsepower. But there's plenty more there if you were to get this chip to unleash it to its full potential. So that supercharger does bring some inherent extra weight to the bike, but it does also make it a healthy amount of power. 135 newton meters of torque and 200 brake horsepower, and that's just scraping the surface of the potential and the power levels this bike can produce. To ride it, it's a comfortable bike, and because Kawasaki know this isn't, you know, this is never going to be super fast in the twisties, it's never going to be a naked you really want to take on track. Kawasaki have sort of gone the other way with the whole feel of the bike. They've made it quite upright. You're not forward, you're not aggressively over the front end, you're upright. Your legs are nice and spacious, the pegs are quite low, the bars are high. It's a very comfortable place to be. The only downside to the comfort levels is that engine is a wide engine, the frame is wide, your legs are splayed out quite a lot, quite a splayed out leg. So I guess you get used to that, but after jumping on different bikes you notice that this is actually quite a wide bike. So the bike isn't particularly sporty. Despite being 200 horsepower, it's not been set up in a particularly sporty manner. It's a comfortable machine. The suspension is all fully adjustable, but it's been set from the factory quite soft. You know, you can roll over those potholes. It's all geared up really for high speed handling more than tight twisty stuff. It does, don't get me wrong, you can hustle this around. You can hustle it around, you know, it's shower big piston forks, shower rear shock, and it's set up quite nicely, but it's road focused. This is not a track naked. This is set up to be a comfortable ride on the road. I wouldn't even say particularly sporty ride on the road. Definitely more of a comfortable bike. Of course you could get your spanners out, you could have a twiddle, you could increase the preload, you could stiffen it up much more. I've left this as it comes, quite soft. The thing which most surprised me, this bike, living with it, is the fact that it isn't a hooligan at all. It's really a Jekyll and Hyde bike. And I'm not talking about the looks again. I'm talking about the way it rides. It's just, some bikes when you ride them, they just want to make you ride like a bit of an idiot. The Tuono, the Super Duke, all of those super nakeds, they want to make you ride like a bit of a plum. This one is perfectly happy just to poodle along. The whole engine is so smooth. One of the great things, which is the same as the H2, is just the feel of the controls, just how smooth the everything is. And it doesn't give you the power delivery, again, super smooth. It's not instant, you're not, rah, let's go. It's very relaxed, very smooth. And that makes you really just quite happy to trundle along on this. There's no sense that you've got to pin it everywhere. But if you do pin it, that is when it comes alive, and it delivers a devastating amount of power, and it's devastatingly fast. But that was the biggest surprise for me, just what a pussycat this is. When I heard about all these 200 horsepower nakeds coming out, I was like, well, how can you control that on the road? They're going to be just crazy. Absolutely fine. It's so well mannered, this. I think it's definitely the most well mannered super naked. It is a pussycat. Well, that is until you hit about 8 grand, and then it turns into Mr. Hyde. It is a lunatic. Another great thing about this bike, everything is really included in the price. It's got cruise control included in the 15 grand price, quick shifter blipper included in the price. You know, you're not paying extras for these things. You don't have to unlock these things. They're all there, included in the price. The only thing which is slightly different, there's a couple of different levels of the paint finish where you can pay a bit more for nicer metallic paint and stuff, but the actual features and functions of the bike, they're all the same. Whoa! When you open it up, that front wheel climbs in the air. It's got the KTRC, the Kawasaki traction control, of course. This bike's got a full IMU. You know, you can't have a 200 horsepower bike without an IMU. This has got all of that. It's got 2 power modes, a full power and a low power. You know, you have it on full, wouldn't you? Why have it on anything else? And you've also got the different levels of the traction control. I've got this on 1. Wheelie control and traction control are all built into the same system. So if you've got it on level 1, it will let you do a little bit more wheeling. If you up the traction control, it will keep that more under control. But level 1 for me feels nice. It will come up, give you a bit of excitement. And it is definitely exciting. When that power comes in, my God, it is exciting. Let's have a look. I'm going to pin it in first gear and let the traction and anti-wheelie sort itself out. That's how good these systems are. Okay, I didn't even pin it then. That was about 3/4 throttle, and already it was wheeling like an absolute banshee. When you get on that power, my God, does it go. Let's do that again from second. Power, it comes in, and then the wheel comes up, it shuts it down, and it comes up again. Ah! Oh, she's exciting. When she spools up, she's exciting. It may be Dr. Jekyll most of the time, but when that supercharger spools up, it transforms into Mr. Hyde. It does handle. We'll take it to some twisties in a minute. You can get it round. It wallows a little bit. You can feel the weight a little bit in the bends. It's fine, you know, it's okay, but you do have to wrestle it around a little bit. This bike is really about that straight line performance. This bike is about slaying anything else on the road, but being in a very comfortable upright position while you're doing it. Let's wait for some traffic so we get a clear run at the twisties. There's a police bike. That was handy. I'm glad I was going slowly. Must be doing that bike safe course thing. I'm glad I wasn't pinning it when they went past the other way. So here's some twisties. So let me try and convey what I mean about the handling. The pickup at the bottom end is, you know, it's a bit slower than the bottom. That's what makes it such a smooth, gentle beast. It's not too aggressive at the bottom. The brake feel is nice, but when you're changing direction quickly, you do have to give it some input to the bars, and on very slow bends it gets a bit wallowy, but I mean it's okay. I think probably it's just more a case of getting used to it, but you compare it to something like the Super Duke and it feels nowhere near as sharp. Nowhere near as sharp. There's a lot more flex, I think, in the actual chassis perhaps as well. It's not a track weapon. You can still enjoy yourself in the bends on the road, but after you've slain those sports bikes on the straight, you better be expecting them to come past in the twisties. Oh, the cricketer's in. We'll have to do a walk round in a minute. What's that green light? No, it's someone's house. Steering lock, it's actually not bad. It's not too bad. Right, what we'll do, we'll just pull over in the pub and we'll give a quick little walk around of her. So there she is, the Kawasaki Z-H2. This is the matte black with the red frame. It actually, in the red, I think it looks better than the green version, if I'm honest. It does. I've been a bit harsh. I'm sort of joking, really. It looks fine. The bike has a bespoke tubular trellis frame. This isn't just a copy of the frame from the Z-H2. This is dedicated for this machine, just for the naked version. So, as I say, they haven't just taken the frame, and the Z is all about being a naked bike. Here's the important stuff. Here's the supercharger bolted directly, and that will go around in a minute. You can see like the red inlet on there. This is why you've bought this bike, because of this supercharger. Now this is lifted straight off of the H2. The whole engine is the H2 engine. I mean, I have an H2. It looks like that. You know, this is it. If you look up here, you can see the aluminium throttle plenum. So as I say, this is all metal. This isn't like a plastic airbox. This is all, because it has to hold the boost pressure, it's all a metal plenum. So this is the sort of things which add weight to a supercharged bike. Brembo calipers, the M40 calipers, I think these are, the M4 calipers. They're not the top of the line ones, but they actually work very well indeed. Where I think they have gone slightly wrong with the styling of this bike is these little tiny headlights at the front, and then a massive expanse of plastic here. It's like a little sort of pod on the front of the bike. It looks very high. I'm not a fan of the front end. It's all there, full LED lighting. You know, it's got everything, LED indicators, full LED lights, but they've just slightly missed the mark for me with the styling of that front end. But styling is subjective, so if you like that, you like it. Oh, shut up. This is the air inlet that goes into the supercharger, and the right hand side doesn't have one. So a lot of things people pick up on is it's uneven. It's only got this inlet on the left, but all H2s are like that. The H2 was originally designed for one purpose, and that was to get the air directly into the supercharger. I didn't care how it looked. The most important thing was the air was fed in huge quantities directly to the supercharger. And you can see that air feed goes right down, and you can probably just see in there, that is the inlet side of the supercharger, the red supercharger housing. And if you take this off, you can actually see the impeller of the supercharger, all billet, all made in-house by Kawasaki. They designed this whole supercharger system. They haven't bought this in from outside. This is 100% produced by Kawasaki Industries. That is pretty cool. Left-hand side of the engine, there's a lot of pipes, a lot of wires. It looks very complex, all of that engine on here. And I just think it looks a little bit untidy in a naked without the fairing. It's no surprise the bike is so quiet, because the end can is really rather large on this bike, and this bike hasn't got a single-sided swinging arm. That's one of the cost-cutting exercises I think went on with this bike. It's got a conventional swinging arm, double-sided swinging arm, as has the rest of the Z range. Let's have a little look-ski under the seat. Under the seat, you've actually got a little bit of room. It's another bike I can get my hand in. There's a little bit of room in there, not masses of room. You can get your sandwiches in there, flask of whiskey, you know, that's enough to keep you going. Again, it's quite unusual these days to actually have a bike you can carry some stuff with you on. I like that. It has a key just like the my H2, exactly the same key with the Kawasaki Industries on it. A nice quality key. So there we go, that's it. Let's jump back on. I think this bike really is, as I say, it's for someone who wants to go exceptionally fast. They want something a bit different. You know, they want some supercharged action. Why wouldn't you? It's a fantastic thing to have, a supercharger on a motorcycle. It's a novel. I mean, there's not many it's only Kawasaki that are making production bikes with superchargers on, and I think it's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I wish they'd bring it and put it onto some of their smaller capacity machines like the ZX6R and stuff like that. Supercharged. It would make 1,000 power within the 600 chassis. Amazing that would be. So I wish they'd do a little bit more with it, but this is definitely a step in the right direction, bringing the supercharger onto a naked. Brilliant. Genius. And I do see the attraction of this. And if this bike, for me, if this looked a little bit more pretty, a little bit more sexy, if they brought out an R version with more tailored sporty suspension and a few pounds lost off of it, I think it could very much be a contender. But for me, it's just a little bit lardy, a little tiny bit ugly. I guess it depends what you want. You may not want the ultimate sharpest handling naked. This is definitely more of a more comfortable touring place to be. Something comfortable but goes like absolute stink. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a different bike to the Super Duke. I think it's a different bike to the Ducati Street Fighter. When people saw the headline figures, 200 horsepower, they were imagining, you know, the rest of the bike was going to be as performance orientated as the power figures, and it isn't. This is a much more comfortable ride, perhaps a much more everyday bike to live, much easier bike to live with and to put miles on. So don't dismiss this bike just because it looks a little odd. Once you get your head around the looks, and it does grow on you, the looks do grow on you. It is a very, very nice motorcycle. Thanks for watching, guys. Massive thanks to Wheels Motorcycles, as always, for dropping this down to me. Those guys are amazing. Channel sponsors, dropping me bikes. I really appreciate it, Wheels. Go and show them some love. I'll put their website below. Go and see what deals they've got on. They've always got deals on. It's worth having a look. They may be doing a deal on this, I don't know. Check them out. But thanks for watching, guys. I will see you on the next video. Take care, ride safe, bye bye. This is power level 1, which is full power. It's down, boy. What's she done here? I told you I was scared back there. Whoa! I've never dropped a bike before in my life. Whoa! That's it. That's it. Listen to this. Never mind getting beat up. Give me this any day of the week. Oh,